Hello and thanks for joining us for Reporters, the programme that brings you the very best stories from our correspondents around the world. Now, he was the most wanted man in the Balkans, on the run for 16 years. But since Ratko Mladic was arrested and extradited, a chapter has closed in Serbian history, and many in the country want to move on. But others are opposed to Mladic's capture. In fact, they account for just over half of Serbia's population. That's according to the most recent national poll. Throughout Serbia, people openly say they see Mladic as a hero and dismiss out of hand the heavy war crimes charges against him. So why does this brand of nationalism persist, and can a divided Serbia move forward? Our reporters Catherine Norris-Trent, Audrey Racine and Nordin Beziu went to find out.
Zato što si balija, srušio si miran san. Nosila te drina, stresna mučekedina, svaki dan.
This is Serbia, real Serbia. And this is us hero. This is us hero, and this is us hero. And Mare.
They're much too young to have fought in the Balkans conflict themselves, but these young Serbs know the war songs off by heart, targeting Bosnians and Muslims. They're proud to be ultra-nationalists and to show it off at a roadside barbecue in Belgrade. Because of tradition and family loyalties, Ratko Mladic is one of their heroes.
How can we not support the man all our fathers fought with and gave their lives for?
His father was in the battlefield. He fought for our nation and our country.
These 18-year-old school leavers unquestioningly support Mladic, the wartime leader accused of genocide and crimes against humanity. Like many in Serbia, they feel deeply betrayed by authorities over his arrest.
We see things differently. It's true that people should be prosecuted for genocide, but it's not fair that it's only Serbians who are being convicted. If other leaders are pursued too, okay, why not Mladic? But at the moment, this is an injustice to the Serbian people.
A recent national poll showed that just over 50% of Serbs are opposed to Mladic's capture and extradition to The Hague. And nowhere is support for Mladic more entrenched than the village of Lazarevo, where he was finally tracked down after 16 years on the run. Milan has lived in Lazarevo all his life and takes us to the place where Mladic was captured.
Look, that's the house there. It's a residential area. The houses are right next to one another. There's some on the left, others opposite there, as you see. How is it possible not to notice that someone was there?
The hideout belongs to one of Mladic's cousins. He has strong family and cultural ties to this village.
Everyone here in Lazarevo would have concealed him, me included. Me above all.
So no one was tempted by the €10 million reward.
Of course I would be tempted, but I would never give him away. I wouldn't want my family to be marked out by that. I would never betray him for the money, €10 million. I would never burden my family with that.
And it's impossible to find anyone in this community who feels differently, who wouldn't have protected Ratko Mladic from authorities. The owner of the local cafe has even written a poem expressing his love for Mladic. It's entitled The Arrest of a Hero.
In Lazarevo, on road number 5, they spotted Ratko walking with his brother. And on Ratko's cap, the Serbian crown was shining. Straight away, they called in prosecutor Bruno.
In Lazarevo, there's no mention, though, of the charges against Mladic, the war crimes of which he's accused. Perhaps the most notorious is the largest massacre in Europe since World War II, Srebrenica. We head just across the border into Bosnia, to where troops massacred some 8,000 Muslim men and boys in 1995. Crowds continue to flock to the huge memorial to pray and to mourn. Hermina lost 2 members of her immediate family in the massacre.
My brother was taken away into the forest with my husband.
And where were you?
They brought us right here by bus. In fact, we were piled into an animal truck, just like animals.
Hermina simply cannot understand how Mladic can be perceived as a hero. She remembers him clearly that fateful day.
I was right next to Mladic with my aunt as well. He promised to save us. But he knew he was in a strong position with his army behind him in the forest. In the end, he killed them. I saw him take our men away.
And yet, just down the road, in the heart of Srebrenica village, it's almost a parallel universe. A wedding party blares through the streets, proudly bearing the Serbian flag. This village now lies in the Republika Srpska region of Bosnia. Many residents proudly describe themselves as Serb nationalists and deny the massacre ever took place at all.
As far as I know, in Srebrenica, no more than 5 civilians died. The people who are buried over there were brought here from Canada or elsewhere. Some of them had been dead for 20 years. Can you see how unfair it is? For me, Mladic will always be a hero. He'll always be my general.
And to support their general, their version of history, Serb nationalists are pouring into Belgrade from all around the region. MPs from the Serbian Radical Party have organised the rally, hoping for tens of thousands to come to the capital. Special guest of honour is Mladic's son, Darko. With tears in his eyes, he tries to whip up the crowd.
I'd like to thank you all. After 20 years of propaganda against our people, and especially against Ratko Mladic, who's a symbol of freedom for all of us here, and for Serbs everywhere. Tonight is a victory for us, because we've always refuted the lies against us.
But in fact, less than 10,000 people have showed up. Far fewer than for previous ultra-nationalist gatherings, far fewer than for the arrest of Radovan Karadzic in 2008. In the crowd, we catch up with the young nationalists from the barbecue. They're visibly disheartened by the turnout.
People here know they can't really do anything, but I suppose being here gives them a shred of hope.
There weren't very many people. Some couldn't come because they had things to do. Others are afraid of the police. They're afraid of being arrested.
There's a feeling among protesters that this rally has come just too late, that despite widespread public support, this is the end of an era. In the end, despite fears of rioting, the night saw only a few scuffles with police. The crowds were dispersed early. The next morning, few traces of the rally remain. Belgrade is back to its buzzing metropolitan self. Ever more Serbs, especially here in the capital, want to put the nationalist past well behind them. The young researchers at this think tank, above all, feel relieved by Mladic's capture. It's as though a weight has been lifted from Serbia's shoulders.
His arrest it's sort of political exorcism. Serbia has been possessed by this specter of General Ratko Mladic and pretty much paralyzed by it for quite a long time.
Filip has published several papers on Serbia's transition from war to peace and democracy. For him, the impact of Mladic's capture is Serbia's future inside Europe.
I hope it will join the EU by 2020, and that it will be just a normal, boring, small Balkan country.
Will that happen?
I really believe. I think now with the arrest of Ratko Mladic, we are one step closer to that goal.
Aside from nearing EU membership, though, Filip and his colleagues believe that Serbia still has a way to go. They have friends and acquaintances who are openly nationalist and hostile to the wider world.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. He's a fairly young guy, and he said, "Look, I don't know what happened during the war. I don't know what Mladic did, whether it's right or wrong. But all I know is I don't want my future or Serbia's future, for example, in Europe, to be hinged on the fate of this one man. This insistence on one person seems to be very trivial to them, and therefore they see it as an attack on themselves."
I think there is a healthy debate going on in Serbia, but not on the fringes of political discussion. On the fringes you always have extremists who are not willing to discuss, they're just willing to preach.
Bridging these deep divides is the big challenge for Serbia moving forwards. Economically, the country needs a boost and is moving towards the west. But the shadows of conflict continue to loom. For the moment at least, nationalism and the legacy of Ratko Mladic are proving difficult to erase.
Well, that's it for this edition of Reporters. You can watch this story and all our other reports again on our website, france24.com. Until the next time, bye for now.